you know. So we're putting multiple taxes on fuel.
Yeah.
We are looking for, it's like the same old things, and like what Thomas said, low-hanging fruit. And it's like unimaginative leadership. That's what we are doing.
Yeah.
Unimaginative decision making, right? So then the place that bears the brunt. Look, why are we currently spending over 5 Ghana cedis per liter? It doesn't make any sense to me. Why? And at what point? You see, I heard someone talk about yesterday. I think it was on CBS. I'm not sure that if we're not careful, in the next 3 years, we'll be looking at about 8 Ghana cedis.
Yep, it was on CBS.
It doesn't make any sense at the current rate we're going. But anyway, one of our friends, who's a tax
Analyst.
Analyst, Geoffrey Ocansey, is on the line with us, and we want to ask him a few questions and his thoughts on the budget, especially as far as the taxation is concerned. Geoffrey, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
How are you doing?
I'm good, God bless.
Yeah, right. So, Geoffrey, what do you make of the current tax regime as read out in the budget? Just briefly.
I think on overall, the new taxes were not properly timed. We don't need new taxes at this time. You know, as I speak with you, the financial situation of most individuals and companies are not too well. Their books are not too well because of the COVID pandemic. And on the various discussions we've had on your show, you remember we were already predicting, as World Bank and other financial giants had predicted already, that 2021 will not be too good for even countries, for companies, and then for individuals. So the 6 new taxes are not properly timed at all. And I think government should have looked at other avenues that we've been discussing on the show every day, like the issues of tax and cash irregularities, and then the tax exemptions, and other avenues that they could have taken advantage of.
Okay.
Stopping the leakage and seekages, and then looking at where they have to do proper collection to increase their fold.
Yeah.
Speaking of tax irregularities, Geoffrey, if you can walk us through how much we lose each year to these leakages so that our viewers can really put things into perspective.
A quick scan of the financial irregularities in the Auditor General's report of Ghana revealed that in 2014, we lost about 2-point-something billion. That is actually 2.575. I mean, that's saying figures. It's very huge. Then you go to 2015, we lost 5 billion. Then in
5 billion Ghana cedis we lost in 2015 to these.
We lost 505 million Ghana cedis.
505 million Ghana cedis to these leakages.
Then in 2016, we lost 2.1 billion.
Okay.
Then in 2017, we lost 892 million Ghana cedis. Then in 2018, we lost 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. And then in 2019, the Auditor General's report revealed that we lost over $3 billion. Sorry, Ghana.
So we lost over 3 billion Ghana cedis 2019.
Yes, please.
To just these irregularities. What accounted for them? If you can help us understand how we managed to lose all these monies.
Yes. So these monies are lost to cash irregularities, tax irregularities, as in companies that have failed to pay taxes, you know, companies that are still owing taxes. And these are huge agencies, and you'll be surprised. Some of the companies you hear in there. We also had issues with rent irregularities, that is, companies that have not paid their rent taxes.
Okay.
You know, and then we also had issues with tax irregularities. That is, when you go within the fold of the tax rebates, you realize that some companies, instead of using the money for tax issues, they were using it for other things, you know. And so when you go into the system, you also realize that there were issues of corruption. And there's something also tagged in there as contract irregularities.
Okay.
So, you know, at the various MMDAs and agencies, they actually give out contracts.
So
a very quick one.
Yes.
You when you come back to actual issues of financial irregularities, it's actually bits and gets down to the various government agencies, I mean, and the MMDAs. They actually have issues. Even schools, you know, when you listen to the Public Account Committee, You've heard even basic levels, secondary schools, business, embezzling funds. All this accumulates to these financial irregularities.
Okay, so Geoffrey, my last question to you is, because I know David has some follow-ups for you. Considering the year that we've had, businesses are suffering, individuals are suffering. A lot of us don't have any disposable income. Could the government have considered, closing up these leakages to save us these billions of cedis that we're losing instead of taxing us Ghanaians who are already struggling?
Perfect. It is one of the avenues you've mentioned quickly. You are managing finances and you are collecting. Once you're collecting into a kitty, you properly manage what you have. Mm-hmm. Because if you look at these huge figures we've mentioned, just mentioned to the figure for 2018 alone, mm-hmm. and then look at tax exemption in the same Auditor General's report for 2019, 6.2 million Ghana cedis for Kotoka International Airport alone was granted without parliamentary approval. Wow. And this is what they have detected. What about the ones that they've not detected?
Yeah.
So, and then there was a figure of 7.1 million cedis that were granted through parliamentary approval, but then the Auditor General's report was now calling on the agencies, and the officials to actually bring the receipts to cover. So you see how they are actually playing with this exemptions regime. Exemptions alone. Now, let me give you a final one on exemptions again. Recently, you realize there was an issue about these masters that were bought.
Yeah.
A person who is doing his own business, comparing the same figures that he was offering to Ghana for one master, it was clear that this man was making a lot of profit from the country. Put that aside, that is his business. But we granted him 2.6 million tax exemptions. For what, Jifa? This is a problem of this country. If we stop the one-ton dash out of exemptions, nobody is saying exemption is not good. But can we justify all the exemptions that we are granting, like just this last one I mentioned to you? So that is the problem. If we stop granting exemptions just one ton to friends and family that we can justify, and we also stop the leakages and slippages, that is cash irregularities and tax irregularities, and we are able to explore and make sure people don't jump payment of rent taxes, we'll make a lot of profit for this country.
Jeffrey, just quickly as you wrap up for us, so what is it going to take for us to stop this low-hanging fruit approach, and especially with the exemptions that we are giving to many organizations who just go to the edge of their time limit, then they rebrand themselves and come back as new companies?
For the issues of exemptions, the tax exemptions bill, the passage of a tax exemptions bill will be the show of commitment by government and ensuring that all the contents within that book, the exemptions bill, are applied to the latter. We'll check the tax exemption system. Now, when it comes to the issues of financial irregularities, transfer pricing is another headache for this country. If we are better placed by negotiating with host and the post countries, we are able to manage this. IFS will be very, very good with our management of our financial issues. The cutting down of government expenditure. Look, bro, as you and I grew up, one of the ways our parents managed the home, if we were spending on, let's say, leisure and entertainment, when things get difficult, your father cuts down costs.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were eating from the restaurants at Chinese restaurants, and all of a sudden things change, what will happen is that we'll cook from home and manage finances. But I speak with you. The government also did one wonderful thing when the president made his ministers contribute something to the COVID fund. Okay? This is the spirit in which we have to move as a country. Let's start cutting down the conferences, the allowances, to show and also to make sure that we reduce costs. As we speak, have you heard anything that there's going to be a reduction in allowances?
No.
Have you also heard anything that they are going to limit the use, the allocation of fuel allowances to government officials? All these arenas, when you cut all these costs, it shows commitment that you are going to manage your financial issues. But if you come up just to lump taxes, look, when you hear the toll booth cost increment, it is clear to you that the taxi driver and the trotro driver will pass it on to the average Ghanaian. You know, so
All right, Geoffrey.
there's a lot we have to do
All
just
right.
to get back on track.
All right, Geoffrey, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. We really
Thanks
appreciate
for
your
having
thoughts
us.
and your insights. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
All right, so that's, I mean, we will definitely be delving a bit more into this.
Yeah,
on the
and they'll be
news review
debating
segment.
it soon as well. So
Yeah.
the whole country will be following, because it does not make sense
No, it
to us
doesn't.
that
No, it
after
doesn't.
the year that we've had, we'll
Yeah.
be paying more taxes, especially when you're telling us that through technology, more people will now come into the tax net.
Yep.
That means that we shouldn't be increasing taxes, because we are hoping to get
To
more.
bring- yes.
And when you say we're going from taxation to production, how much money have we been able to
Yeah.
make from it that we're still not able to balance out our expenditure
Yeah.
versus our revenue?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a lot more coming up in the show, and don't forget that it's voting season, and the place to go and vote for the Entertainment Achievement Awards is entertainmentachievemontawards.com/vote. That's where you need to go to do the vote. Okay. We also have voting on our social media handles. It's on Twitter, it's at EA Awards GH, and on Facebook, it's at Entertainment Achievement Awards. Of course, today we want to be looking at the comedians of the comic actors of the year, and let's take a look at those who made it to who were nominated for that comic actors of the year. We have. Here, Ajeze, we have General Ntatia, we have Rasnene, we have Clemento Suarez, we have Acrobeto, and all these are those that made it to and of course, Obi Amponsan is also part of that list, and DKB as well. Of course, Foster Romanus is also in that list too, and Lexi the comic. And finally, Jerry the comedian. So these are all those that made it nominated under Comic Actor of the Year. And